Welcome back to Block TV, where it is time for Regulation Roundups, place and time that we look at the intersection between crypto and blockchain enterprises and regulators, or sometimes lack thereof. Now, to do that, I'm joined in studio by Block TV's regulations reporter, Whitney Deal. Whitney, great to have you with us.
Thank you.
Three focuses this week, and the first one, once again, Crypto Mom Speaks.
Yeah, Hester Peirce, correct?
Yes, Hester Peirce.
Okay.
Who is she? Remind us.
She is the SEC commissioner, and she has been a very strong lobby for us adopting regulation in the US and making it mainstream.
No, specifically crypto regulations, hence dubbed by the Sphere Crypto Mom.
Yes.
Yes.
And she believes that the SEC should move away from being merit regulators to allowing market participants to decide whether a particular asset is worthy of an investment. So to be able to make their own decisions, but to have the freedom to make their own decisions. So in a recent podcast with Intercontinental Exchange, Peirce spoke about the importance of allowing individuals in the space to be involved in it within the regulated framework. I think that we should take a look at.
Yeah, let's have a listen.
Have a listen.
I do think we need someone to shepherd things through. Now, so I thought crypto was an interesting case study, and when I came in, we were running the crypto out of our enforcement division, and I said, if you really want people to come in and talk to you, saying you're an enforcement attorney, probably not a great idea. So we were able to move it over to Corp Fin, which is a more natural place for it to be. And then, I said, hey, why don't we have a website where people can kind of write in and share ideas and bounce ideas off each other, and we can get reactions. That took a very long time, and then we got FinHub, which is good. But I think my point is we're pretty slow at these kinds of things. I think the CFTC has jumped a little bit ahead of us in the sense that they have Lab CFTC is a really interesting idea, and it's a more natural way for innovators to come in and talk to an agency. We are trying to do that with FinHub and with these peer-to-peer meetings. So I think we're making progress. It just looks a little bit different than the CFTC and is a little bit slower.
A little bit slower is the mildest understatement of the century. Now, basically, what is the risk? Because Hester Peirce, we've also interviewed Block TV, at Consensus in New York this past year, clearly has her, her heart set in the right place.
Right.
But that doesn't seem to work for the SEC in terms of moving faster. What is the danger in that?
I think, first off, I think that they're not making moves fast enough because there's a lot of fear. No, but they don't really understand they don't understand cryptocurrency. They don't understand blockchain. Some of them do, but not
right.
Majority of them don't. So I think that the risk here really is that the US is going to get left behind within the realm of these new technologies because everybody, the EU, they're making leaps and bounds ahead. Asia is making leaps and bounds ahead in regulating.
And meanwhile, the likes of David Marcus of Libra fame, sitting in the
Right.
on Capitol Hill, as well as Circle CEO
Jeremy
last
Allaire.
week, exactly,
Yeah.
warning of the same thing. Question is, will bureaucracy move as fast as that? Now, how did Peirce conclude in that? Did she give any indication that something will be moving faster?
She didn't. She doesn't have an answer.
Right.
That's the problem, and I don't think that there is going to be an answer on this for a while. I think that she's hitting a lot of roadblocks. But she understands that the SEC isn't. They're not quick to embrace this innovation. But she's really trying to change the status quo.
Change the status
and
quo,
it's great
yet
to have her in our corner.
Exactly, it's showing the frustration of what that bureaucracy does. Moving ahead, though, as Peirce mentioned, that the CFTC is slightly more advanced when it comes to the idea, because they're also yet to regulate, the idea of regulating the crypto sphere. And that moves us to the CFTC's op-ed about basically the new chairman, right, of the commodity futures
the new chairman,
trading.
Heath P. Tarbert. He has been sworn in, and he released an op-ed from Fox News, and he noted that one of the most critical responsibilities of the CFTC is supervising CCPs on a daily basis.
Okay.
And that American CCPs are the strongest and the most resilient in the world, and that they need to stay that way. And as part of his job with his new position with the CFTC, they're going to be closely monitoring the whole situation with Brexit to see how this is going to affect then, everything, markets in the U.S. And he also stressed that the CFTC must come up with the times when it comes to blockchain, which is great considering.
No, it's great considering, but I mean, one important thing is when it comes to the CFTC, that was also in the news with all the LedgerX debacle of last week. The CFTC stands right now to be the first one to regulate something within this market, as we've known, given the backed, I'd say, attempt, or they're still waiting for their approvals on Bitcoin futures. But last week, LedgerX basically came out and said that the CFTC approved them. That wasn't the case, right?
Right. So they had been approved for certain aspects, just not these Bitcoin futures yet. Right. But apparently the CFTC says that they are working on it to get it approved. But there's a lot of other implications that go along with, these Bitcoin futures. So I wonder what the, the interagency cooperation is here. If the CFTC is the main player, then what's going to happen with the SEC? What's going to happen with the IRS?
And if the CFTC actually regulates, the SEC would have to comply when it comes to taxes. The one thing, though, to conclude that he mentions in his op-ed is the blockchain technology specifically, though, right?
Yeah, and he released a quote within the op-ed where it said that the technological innovations such as blockchain hold great promise, and the rise of digital currencies has created a new asset class. Working with our counterparts, the CFTC must develop a holistic framework for these 21st century commodities. We must also keep a weather eye against emerging threats, especially cyber risks. Protecting against these risks, which includes protecting confidential trading data, is a top priority of the CFTC, as well as the firms and exchanges we regulate.
That we regulate. I mean, it's interesting because it's almost, it sounds from that he's playing both fields. Indeed, we need to move forward on this, but we also have to maintain the security of our customers, meaning, again, we're looking at AMLs, we're looking at clearly playing both fields, but in short, the CFTC plus in this op-ed, this is a man walking into the top job at the CFTC and mentioning the idea that digital currency is something he has to deal with, plus calling them an asset. Moving along, CoinDesk, right? Yes. Apropos regulation, let's call this week in Libra. What's new on the Libra front?
Well, I guess, I don't know if this goes more along the school of thought of keep your enemies close, keep your friends close but your enemies closer, or, nepotism will always get you further. But Facebook has hired a former aide to the chairman of the U.S. Senate Banking Committee to lobby for Libra, which is incredible. It's a little sneaky, but it's also
sneaky.
smart.
It can also be called crony capitalism.
Yes.
By some, again, I'm not saying I'm definitely deeming that, but indeed, one thing that's fascinating about this, who did they recruit first?
A woman named Susan Zook of Mason Street Consulting, who previously assisted Senator Mike Crapo, a Republican from Idaho. Mike
Crapo, the famous of the chairman, that's Chairman Crapo, my dear, of Libra hearings fame, who chaired that hearing and clearly chaired the hearing also the following week with Jeremy Allaire. Crapo clearly, to hire somebody who was that close to Crapo and knows the intricacies of how the chairman of the Senate Banking Committee works is massive lobbying. It's quite the move, and it also leads, and we're theorizing here, this is all in setup for this to become clearly an election issue, and we are heading into 2020. Right. So again, lobbying big, and Libra just hired one of the best lobbyists that they could get.
Very good strategy.
Very good strategy. Whitney, Deal, thank you. Regulation Corner with our regulations reporter. This is BLOCKTV. We'll be right back.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.